What's up, guys? Just throwing together a quick midweek video. Most of this video I'm just going to be reiterating what I went over in my last video, as well as showing you my updated tracking and what I'm expecting for the rest of this week and moving forward. Really quickly, just jumping into the macro. I do listen to all my videos. I'm going to do it again. This 3 fractal sequence here that played out leading up to the squeeze in January is the exact same thing that's playing out here. From the breakdown of the flag in November, the exact same pattern is playing out now, and we are in this last green box, this W here. This is where we are. The bars up here are overlaid from this sequence here. It's just overlaid right on top. And like I said, we're in this last green box here, the W with the 3 peaks in the middle, the lower low on the right, and then you find an uptrend that brings you to your peak of January 2021. That's where we are. So we have our first low, we have our tri-peak in the middle, and we came down and found a lower low on the right, and we have this uptrend, very solid uptrend, by the way, that will be taking us to our peak, and more than likely all-time highs. So we have our first bottom right here, we have the 3 peaks in the middle right here, and we have our second bottom, the lower low, and we're in this uptrend in this candle right here is where we are. So not much further to go. We're in this candle here. After this, we're looking for a gap to the 200 EMA. And then once we cross 850, that's it. We're going to be squeezing probably to new highs. So that's the macro. I touch on that in all my videos. I'm going to continue to do that. It's the foundation of my thesis, and we're tracking it perfectly, so why wouldn't I? Showed this in my last video as well. This is the daily chart of pre-January 2021 on the left, and our current cycle on the right. Daily chart and EMAs. So I'm going to touch on this again. You have your 20 hovering right under your 50, cross in the tri-peak, come back underneath, and then when you cross again, that's when you squeeze. Same thing over here, 20 hovering under the 50 the whole time, cross in the tri-peak, come back underneath, and we've recently crossed again. The 100 coming across right through the tri-peak in the middle, and then you have a rejection off your January 19th to 21st flag sequence here. Reject, come back to the 20, break through, close above. Same thing, you have your 100 running right through the tri-peak here. You have your rejection here, you retrace to the 20, break and close above. Prior to today, the previous 3 trading days, we closed over the 100. Today we did not. I'm going to be going over the tracking on the micro level, and I'm expecting Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for us to close over the 100 EMA. I'll show you guys that in a little bit. And I'm looking for a weekly close around $6. So that's the 100, the 200 running right on top of the tri-peak, and then right above this sequence here. And then you get the gaps over it. That's what we're looking for next. Same thing here. 200's running right over the tri-peak, and it's right above us right now. I think it's sitting around 670, that's very low for the 200 EMA. That's where we're going to be looking for the gap up over the 200 EMA. Once we finish the iteration. It looked like we were finished with it on Friday. We're not, and I'll show you the tracking, and it looks great. We're still tracking. You can get confused pretty easily on the micro level because I'm comparing 1-minute candles of January 2021 to what we're tracking now, and we're tracking a lot slower. So it's very easy to get confused, but I'll show you what I mean. So I touched on this last time as well, and this is proof that we're tracking slower. January 15th, 2021, one day. One day here, March 28th to April 1st. The exact same thing played out. Same exact thing. It took longer. One day here, 5 days here. Legitimately, it's perfect. Pause the video and go over the touch points for yourself. Literally perfect. All the touch points I drew, this horizontal line across, literally the same thing. Not going to bother going over it. Calling for a knife this entire time. And then, so this was end of day. And then the next day, you gap up into the January 19th to the 22nd flag. And then this was our close. And then coincidentally, after hours, after this close here, the 8K drops. And then we knife from 510 to 360 in a matter of minutes. I was calling for the knife the whole time. We got it. That just goes to show you how fucking rigged the market is. Like, literally, I could have predicted the fucking news. Not even like the price action. I could have told you some crazy news was about to drop. But yeah, I mean, calling for it the whole time. The 8K drops after hours, and then we knife. So that's that. And then from there, it brings you to this iteration here, where this was the knife of January 15, 2021, and then this was that 8K after hours knife. We spent a day or two down here before you gap up. Same exact thing on both sides. It's just taking longer on this side. Like I just showed you in the last photo I just showed you, it took longer. January 15th was 1 day. It took us 5 days to play that out. This was 4 days to play out. We're on day like 22 or 23. It's the same thing, same tracking. It's tracking perfectly. It's just taking a lot longer. We're barcoding on low volume every day. Nothing I can do about that. Anyways, from the knife on both sides, you gap up. You find your way to the top, and then you find a descending resistance, which you reject over and over again until you break out, hovering right above. Same thing here. You gap up, you find your top, descending resistance, reject it over and over again until you finally break out, hover right above, gap down, fill the gap, come back down one more time to test the previous resistance as support. Same exact thing here, and then you find your uptrend. This played out very fast. This was 1 day here. Like I said, we're in day 22, 23 now, but we're almost done with the iteration. I'll show you in a minute. Tracking perfectly. From this high here, and I showed you this in my last video as well. These wicks here, this like 1, 2, 3, 4 wicks. You have 2 above. Same. What? The hell just happened? Okay, same thing here. Couple wicks above. You're trying to break through this range here, and same thing here, wicking right off of it every time, same thing, and then you finally break through, and then when you come back down for the retrace, you bounce right off of that and right through the previous high of the range. Same thing here, when we finally broke through, came up, and then you come down, bouncing right off of this range here. You just keep getting rejected here, trying to break through this, and right off the previous high of the range. Same exact thing. It's just taking a lot longer to play out. So that's that. And this is before it even happened. I drew it before it happened. Everything's labeled January 15th V and the gap up. Same thing here. You find your high. You have a descending resistance line. You have your support with higher lows here. You break out, and then I literally drew it before it happened. The gap down, the second retest of the previous resistance, just like you do here. And then I drew a straight line to 650. We didn't end up getting a straight line. I mentioned this in my last video as well. We're getting a very, very slow climb up. I mentioned the algo can slow down and speed up. For my very first video, I've said the algo can slow down and it can speed up, and that's what's going on. We're moving very slowly, but we're still tracking, and we're almost there. We're very, very, very close to being done, to to squeezing. Very close. So I drew a straight line here. We didn't get a straight line. We're getting a very slow uptrend, and I had a target of 650 initially, just based off touch points, just based off the landmarks and touch points. 650 was the original target. I think our top was 620, still valid with touch points. Same thing, doesn't really matter. Like I said in my last video, there's different support and resistance on both cycles. So that is that. Showed you that. Now, I showed you this in my last video as well. I drew this last week. I think it was on Tuesday. I drew what I was, like, the projection from last Tuesday, what I was expecting. I thought this would finish last week. The iteration would complete last week. Didn't end up happening. And it's still not done this week, and I'm expecting it to finish up Friday. I'll show you the rest of the tracking after this. But pretty much what I drew here is what played out. And right now, actually, we're sitting right here at this, the right leg of the W here when you have a high or low. This is where we are right now. And then the rest of this week's price action, this is what it should look like. So I drew this up to like the 630 range, and we came up to like 620, I believe. Same shit. Doesn't really matter. 10 cents off. Okay, so with that being said, here is Friday's price action. And I mentioned in my last video, it looks like the iteration could be complete. I said I'm pretty sure the iteration is complete. I'm not 100% sure. And the reason for that is because the touch points are pretty much perfect. You have your double top with a lower high on the right, and then you have your double bottom with a higher low on the right, and then you have downside and end of day. Pretty much what I drew here. And then I think I showed this in my last video as well, showing it. So your double top, your double bottom, and then the bounce off of this previous range here, same thing here, and then the downside at the end of the day. That's why I said on Friday, it's possible we finished the iteration. Turns out we have not finished the iteration, and I'm going to show you now. So, and this, it's just a crayon chart. I drew this at work, 10 o'clock in the morning, when we broke out of this resistance and pretty much double topped perfectly right here. And then we started crashing back through resistance. I was like, okay. So now you could definitely make the case that this is the first leg of the W right here. And we're going to come back down to support, find a higher low. And this is where we're sitting, somewhere right here right now. And then the rest of the week, we're going to be climbing back up to the 620 range. And then come back down one more time and probably close the week around $6. That's what I'm expecting. So I drew this at 10 o'clock in the morning. Pretty much exactly what played out. I'll show you right now. This would have been the double top in the morning right here. And then this is pre-market. And then this was today's price action. Came all the way back down for the right leg of the W and found a higher low. Perfect. I have the touch points labeled. I'm not even going to bother going over them. They're all the important touch points are labeled for you. You have your first top right here, which we do here, 620, and then bounce down, come up, bounce down, come up, and you come all the way down. You find your first leg bouncing right off of this range. Bounce up, double top perfectly. Same thing here. And then come back down for the other leg of the W, find a higher low, and this is where we're sitting. And then this is the projected price action for the rest of the week, which I have drawn here. So tomorrow you can expect green. We should find a bounce tomorrow, probably come up to the 580, 590 range, maybe close there. Maybe we get this move here. Probably going to see 580 to $6 tomorrow, close somewhere in that range. And then that would be Wednesday, Thursday. You get the rest of this move. Probably not going to come up to 620 as this didn't here. This second top here was lower, a lower high on the right side of the W. Probably expect to come very slowly. This is not going to happen fast. We're going to be seeing low volume, bar coding, very slow climb, probably tomorrow and Thursday, back up to this range here, and probably get rejected somewhere 615 to 620 before we get this downside, and then end up closing the week somewhere in this range here. 595 to 605 is what I'm looking for a weekly close. For Friday's close, I'm looking for something in that range. 595 to 605. 602 would be a cool close to see. It would be a nice close just based off touch points. And that's pretty much it. And this is if we finish this iteration this week. That's if we get the rest of this price action this week. I'm assuming we will. So we'll just have to take it day by day and see if we get the rest of this. But this is what we're expecting. So literally it's tracking perfectly. I thought possibly this was Friday here. You have your double top and double bottom, higher low on the right, lower high on the right, and then downside at the end of the day. Same thing here. I was like, okay, maybe that was the rest of the iteration. Turns out it wasn't. And now, a couple days later, it's more clear. Like I said, I'm tracking a 1-minute chart of 2021 compared to a 1-hour chart of our current price action. We're moving very, very slow. I showed you the January 15th sequence. 1 day compared to 5 days. January 22nd, the flag, 4 days. We're on day like 22 or 23. Same exact shit is playing out. It's just taking longer. Low volume, bar coding, but we're tracking perfectly. And that is pretty much that. So this is what we're expecting for the rest of the week. What I'm expecting for the rest of the week. Green. So tomorrow, 580 to like $6. Thursday, probably come all the way up to like 615 to 620, and then get rejected. It's probably downside at the end of the day of Thursday, and then Friday we would probably play out the rest of this, and then find a weekly close around $6. 602 would be cool to see that. Close of 602 this week, that would be very nice to see. So that's pretty much it as far as my tracking and what I'm expecting for the rest of this week. I do want to touch on one other thing, and I'm not giving dates. Let me just make that very fucking clear. I am just pointing something out because this is significant, and it's probably, it's a good thing to mention because you know, maybe it's a coincidence, maybe it's not. But both of the peaks that we saw, January 27th and June 2nd, Opex, 7 trading days later, you peak. So you have Opex January 15th, you have your weekend, you have a holiday on Monday, 1, 2, 3, 4, weekend again, 5, 6, and on the 7th trading day, post Opex, you peak. Same thing in June. May 21st, Opex, weekend, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, weekend. Again, holiday Monday, 6, 7 trading days, June 2nd, again on a Wednesday, you peak. So both peaks landed on a Wednesday. They both landed 7 days post Opex, and there was a holiday on a Monday. I'm not giving dates. I'm just pointing this out. So before everyone starts fucking freaking out, I'm just pointing something out that's significant. Now, we're in May. Opex is May 19th this month. Weekend. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Weekend again. Holiday on Monday. 6, 7. May 31st, Wednesday. 7 trading days post Opex. Holiday on Monday. May 31st. I'm not giving dates. I'm just pointing this out. And the reason I'm pointing this out is because as far as my tracking goes, you know, we got the first bottom of the W. We got the tri-peak. First bottom of the W, the tri-peak, came back down, found our lower low. We have this uptrend going on now. And as far as the tracking goes, we're in this sequence here. This flag here. We get rejected off the 100, retrace to the 20, break and close above the 100. Reject off the 100, retrace to the 20, break and close above the 100, and we're in this candle here. I mentioned this before, this 4-hour candle right next to the boom candle. That's what we're in, and it's just taking longer. After we complete this iteration, which I'm assuming is going to be on Friday, what we have after that is a gap up to the 200 EMA, 2 gaps over the 200 EMA, and then when you cross the tri-peak, which for us over here in the current cycle would be 850, that's when you squeeze. So I'm just mentioning the May 31st, 7 days post Opex because as far as the tracking goes, we're at the end. We're already, like Opex aside, we're at the end of the tracking. We got the tri-peak, we got the double bottom with the lower low, and we have this very strong uptrend, a million fucking touch points on this is the 4-hour chart, by the way. A million touch points on this trend. You break below the January 15th knife, reclaim, come back down, break below again, reclaim. A million touch points on this uptrend. Very, very solid uptrend. And then I went over the touch point across. And that's pretty much it. I mean, we're in this sequence here. Once we finish this, we have the 2 gaps over the 200 EMA. Break the high of the tri-peak, 850, and then that's it. Squeeze from there. So just mentioning May 31st because of that. And, you know, the previous 2 squeezes, both on a Wednesday, both 7 days post Opex, and both had a holiday on that Monday. So we have the same exact thing this month. Again, I'm not giving dates. I'm just pointing that out. So that's pretty much it for the video. Again, this is the tracking. This is what I'm expecting for the rest of the week. Green tomorrow and probably for half of Thursday, before we get rejected off the 615 to 620 range. Thursday, end of day, maybe second half of Thursday, the downside, and then Friday is the rest of this downside. Lower lows probably for most of the day before you find a higher low, and then close in this range, 595 to 605. So this is what we're expecting for the rest of the week. And this is not scaled. This is showing May 16th. This is not scaled as far as time goes. This would be more like scrunched together. So that's pretty much it. That's what I'm expecting for the rest of the week. And I'm just pointing out Opex because, you know, the tracking we're almost done with. Not giving dates, and that's that. This is probably going to be the only video that I post this week. I'll probably be posting again on probably Saturday, maybe Friday, Friday or Saturday. When we close out the week and I see the rest of the price action for the week, I'll make an update video again. But as far as this week goes, you know, the rest of this week, in my opinion, is going to be very boring. It's going to be, you know, green, whatever, who cares? Low volume, barcoding, and that's that. So this is what I'm looking for the rest of the week. 602 close on Friday would be fucking awesome. I would love to see it. It doesn't have to be 602. It would just be nice as far as touch points go. But in this range here, 595 to 605 on Friday is what we're looking for. I mentioned this in my last video too. The January 22nd, it finished up on a Friday, and then that next Monday you gap up to the 200 EMA. So we'll see what happens for the rest of this week. So with that being said, hope everyone enjoys the rest of their week. I'll catch you guys this weekend, and let's fucking go. We're almost there. So later.